The clash between the political creeds of East and West overshadowed the nations in 1948. It was the setting into which fitted the joys and sorrows of ordinary people. It was a year of great decision, of decisions made in the final reckoning by people like ourselves, by all of us. For on the great issues which unite us, the voice which speaks is that of Britain. Early in the year, that voice expressed its principles in a small way across the football fields. The gallant fight of Colchester against the Goliaths of the First League captured the imagination of a people who always cheer the underdog. When Ceylon was granted independence, few Britons took much note of it. 500 million souls in India, Burma and Ceylon were granted the rights of freedom. The greatest gesture in world history passed almost unnoticed. As freedom was gained in Asia, it was lost in Europe. Czechoslovakia, for almost 30 years regarded as the bastion of democracy, fell to the sapping of its communist fifth column. Even the politically unwary noted that communism made its gains in those lands where the Red Army stands upon the borders. Further afield, in countries bordering the democratic states, Moscow's fifth columns failed in their objectives. Italy chose freedom. In a bitterly contested election, the people returned a government of Christian Democrats headed by Premier de Gasperi. Even in Yugoslavia, communism received a setback, for Marshal Tito developed a streak of independence. He decided to run his country from Belgrade, its capital, without supervision from Moscow. The plans of the 14 men of the Kremlin were going awry. The death of Zhdanov, second in command to Stalin, came as a further complication. But his last orders to sabotage the European recovery program held the world in an uneasy truce. As a relief from this dark picture, Britons turned to 11 men from Australia. Don Bradman and his colleagues from Down Under treated us to a dazzling show of the Commonwealth's classic game. They hit us with everything but the umpires, and we enjoyed it, despite the disappointment of watching our own star batsmen wear out their shoes between the pavilion and the wicket. Another gentleman hit us about quite a bit too. After stumping us at 3 and 6 for 20, he went ahead to demonstrate his mastery of a new stroke, the export drive. Car output rocketed. Few for ourselves, but we shipped them in their hundreds of thousands overseas. Steel made new records. Output per man exceeded by 10% the greatest efforts of pre-war days. In shipping, we built 3 of every 5 vessels launched upon the oceans of the world. Even this effort gave no guarantee of improved living, for our recovery is largely tied to Europe's fortunes. When from the United States, the first shipments of Marshall aid began to flow, and the European recovery program became an active plan, hope soared. For the moment, it looked as if there was a better future for newcomers into this troubled world. Maybe that was why they began to arrive in fours. The good family of Westerly jumped from 1 to 5 overnight, and the village made the most of it. But if life held more hope for the children of Westerly, it held less for the children of Berlin. Russia cut off that city's food supplies from the western zone of Germany. The threat to starve 2 million people was Russia's reply to the signing of the Marshall Plan. To stay with the 2 million or to quit Berlin. To France, Britain and the United States, the challenge was clear. We stayed. Through the great combined airlift, we fed the western sectors of the city. that was the decision of the year. With the success of the airlift, tension increased. Yet the gravity of the situation did not prevent Britain from playing host successfully to 57 nations in the Olympic Games. Although we carried off few medals, there was pride in every British heart in the achievement of Maureen Gardner, young Oxford ballet mistress, who broke the world hurdles record. It warmed our hearts too when she added a gold ring to the silver medal by marrying the man who coached her to success. The next meeting of over 50 nations was at UNO's 4th Congress. A cuckoo sat in the nest of peace. Russia stalemated the major issue by her 28th use of the veto. To show assembled delegates her power to disrupt life in the tolerant democracies, she called out her 5th column. France was paralyzed by a nationwide coal strike. As the background to a World Congress seeking peace, near civil war developed at the pitheads. Across the Atlantic, at least decision was reached in the matter of the presidency. Facing a choice between the cool efficiency of Dewey and the warm-hearted character of Truman, the electors chose the man of human qualities. As America settled her White House problem, Britain turned to Church House to untangle a domestic one. A minister of the Crown resigned after an inquiry led by the Attorney General, Sir Hartley Shawcross. From the tangled web emerged a new personality of big business, Mr. Sidney Stanley. With relief as the year closed, the public turned from the involved affairs at Church House to the Royal House of Windsor, to a group of human people who symbolize the homely virtues which are the strengths of British life. This new prince, whose name and generation is linked with the destiny of a great race, came as a reminder of the new hopes based on the old faiths with which this nation bravely faces 1949.
This leaflet is coming through your letterbox one day soon. Or maybe you've already had your copy. Read it carefully. It tells you what the new National Health Service is and how you can use what it offers. Hospitals and specialist services, medicines, drugs and appliances, care of the teeth, care of the eyes, maternity services, home health services. The new scheme starts on July the 5th. But there's one thing you should do at once. Choose your doctor now. That's most important. Study the leaflet, then keep it by you. You'll need it for reference. The new National Health Service starts, providing hospital and specialist services, medicines, drugs and appliances, care of the teeth and eyes, maternity services. Ask your doctor now if he'll look after you under the new scheme. If he can't accept you, ask at the post office for the address of the Executive Council, where you'll be given the names of other doctors in your area who are taking part in the new service. Ask the doctor you choose for an application form for each member of your family. One form has to be filled in for each member of the family and then handed over to your doctor. Now don't forget, Choose your doctor now.
Our plan is a service which will provide the best medical advice and treatment for everyone, every man, woman and child in this country. It'll cover any medicines you may need, specialist advice, and of course hospital treatment, whatever the illness. Special care for mothers and children, and a lot of other things besides. In fact, every kind of advice and treatment you may need. Now, all the details are set out in this white paper and in a shorter pamphlet. And you'll find there the arrangement the government proposed for the doctors, the hospitals, the local authorities and so on.
At The Hague are gathered 800 delegates representing 23 European nations. Men and women of all walks of life. They, like France's wartime Premier Edward Daladier, have come to seek the first United States of Europe. The Dutch royal couple, welcoming Mrs. Churchill and Anthony Eden, greet the delegates who include Leslie Hoare Belisha. Not sponsored by any one government, yet willed by every nation, the Hague meeting seems to the people of Europe another groping but positive step for peace. Winston Churchill, in his role as world statesman, presides over the inaugural session. Party politics are thrust into the background as the man who gave Europe back its freedom receives the acclaim of its representatives. In the countries around them, the Hague delegates see other hopeful signs for a united Europe. The five-power alliance signed at Brussels last month. Above all, the economic cooperation created by the Marshall Plan nations. As France's ex-socialist Premier Ramadier addresses the conference, it becomes clear that this movement is one that transcends all parties and all frontiers. In this medieval Hall of Knights, Belgium's ex-Premier Van Zeeland addresses the delegates. As he speaks, the plan for the continent's federation becomes brighter.
Pour lequel tant d'hommes, tant d'Européens et tant d'autres, en pleine conscience, mais aussi en toute confiance, ont fait le sacrifice de leur vie.
Calling a Europe desperately seeking a sign of hope amid a mass of war talk, Winston Churchill says,
"It is not a movement of parties, but a movement of peoples. It must be all for all. Europe can only be united by the heartfelt wish and vehement expression of the great majority of all the peoples, in all the parties, in all the freedom-loving countries, no matter where they dwell or how they vote. We cannot aim at anything less than the union of Europe as a whole, and we look forward with confidence to the day when that union will be achieved."
Swing. It looks fun, doesn't it? It is fun, and you'd enjoy trying it yourself. You're never too old to learn, and the exercise will do you good. You could learn all the dances if you came to Arthur Murray's. You'd learn fast, too, even if you've never danced a step before. And you'd enjoy your lessons so much you'd always be looking forward to them. There's nothing like dancing for a new interest in life. But why not find out for yourself? If you're over 21, ring Trafalgar 7112 right away and say, "I'd like a free trial lesson." It will place you under no obligation, and you really will enjoy it. So don't put it off. Ring Trafalgar 7112 right away. If you can't get through, keep on trying. We'll be waiting till 10 p.m. So for a free trial dance lesson without any obligation, ring Trafalgar 7112 now.
Now, I'm going to show you 3 things, and you've got to tell me what you do with them. Number 1, a pint of... Well, you seem to know what to do with that one, all right. Number 2, a handkerchief. Excellent. Remember, coughs and sneezes spread diseases. Now, number 3, a bowl of disinfectant. Hey, you don't drink it, man. That's for the soiled handkerchief, which is full of germs. You put the handkerchief into the disinfectant, which kills the germs and so stops the spread of infection. Now let's get this quite clear. You sneeze into the handkerchief and then put the handkerchief into a bowl of disinfectant to kill the germs. Not in with the family's washing. Got it? Sure? Good. Remember, don't spread germs.
Can't be good for you, can it?
But all this soft, starchy stuff.
Well, I
Haven't thought about it.
I was only saying yesterday, a balanced diet, I said, that's what we women need.
She's off again. We eat all wrong. Our food hasn't got enough roughage, whatever that is. We should have our vegetables raw, and on about keeping regular.
It's all very well for you. You never seem to get run down like I do.
I think it's time I told her.
About Kellogg's All-Bran, the crisp and pleasant cereal that keeps a person regular because it provides the roughage that so many of us lack in our diet. All-Bran for breakfast. A much nicer way to keep your system regular than taking medicine.
Holiday, where everyone enjoys everything at no extra cost, like the monorail at Butlin Skegness. It's a big holiday for kiddies with free swimming, boating, and games galore. Not to mention the big free rides. It's a big holiday for parents too, with freedom to enjoy carefree days and fabulous evenings of entertainment. It's a big holiday for everyone with everything to enjoy at Butlin's. And remember, no extras to pay.
This is a personal matter between you and me, for it intimately concerns the cinema in which we are both interested. I as entertainer, you as entertained. You see, there are some curious people who come here just to do willful damage. They slash the carpets and curtains, cut the seats, destroy the ashtrays and toilet fittings, even damage the decorations and the very walls. This is constantly happening, goodness knows why. This is your cinema as much as anybody else's, and the management really does do all in its power to keep the place comfortable and cheerful. But you know it is almost impossible to repair damage in these difficult times. Well, that is my grouse. Here is where you come in, if you will. It is difficult to understand the mentality of those who do these things. It is still more difficult to catch them. Will you please help by immediately reporting any individual seen to be doing malicious damage? Help us all to keep up the standard of comfort and enjoyment at this cinema. Thanking you sincerely, the management.
Did you rob or kill someone?
That's what they think.
It didn't matter that he was hunted, feared, branded. Only her arms could tame the fury of his fists. Only his kisses could calm the terror in her heart.
Oh, I love you, Jane. You don't know how much I love you.
Oh, I do. Loved you for a long time without knowing it.
What have I done to you?
I killed him.
brilliant team of film craftsmen who capped a series of fine films with the memorable Great Expectations now recreate Charles Dickens' best-loved work, Oliver Twist. No other story so full of drama has such humanity. Nowhere else can you find characters who make you feel so deeply emotions you want to hide. Robert Newton is Bill Sykes.
Get up.
Alec Guinness, whose brilliant characterization as Mr. Pocket was outstanding in Great Expectations, unbelievably transformed, is Fagin.
Why are you awake? Speak out, boy, quick.
Kay Walsh is Nancy.
You've got the boy. What more do you want? Let him be.
Francis L. Sullivan and Mary Clare are Mr. and Mrs. Bumble. Henry Stevenson, Mr. Brownlow. Kathleen Harrison, Mrs. Sowerberry. Anthony Newley, the Artful Dodger. Diana Dawes, Charlotte. And introducing John Howard Davis.
My name's Oliver. Oliver Twist.
Do you know what this is? Yes, sir. Well, if you speak a word when we're outside, you'll get a bullet through your head without warning. What's become of the boy?
The traps have got him, and that's all about it.
Gone out over the roof.
Behind this personal column ad that appeared in the Chicago Times, there lies one of the most unusual but factual dramas ever to come to public attention. Because of its impact and great human interest, this story of a brutal killing and unjust conviction was picked up by Time magazine and Reader's Digest, bringing it worldwide attention. Now, this exciting story, filmed under the title called Northside 777, comes to the screen, produced by 20th Century Fox. James Stewart, one of the screen's most popular stars, gives his greatest portrayal in Call Northside 777 as McNeil, the reporter who courageously and untiringly brings this story to light.
I went into this thing believing nothing. I was skeptical. I figured Wieczek is using his mother to spring him. But I've changed my mind. This man is innocent.
Richard Conte plays Frank Wieczek, who places his family's happiness above his own freedom.
I'll stay here 1,000 years. But you must not write anymore.
Lee J. Cobb is at his best as the soft-spoken but hard-driving editor. Helen Walker plays McNeil's wife. Kasia Orzechowski plays Wieczek's mother, the courageous woman who slaved and saved for 11 years to prove her son's innocence.
11 years. I dream and I work.
Last Western outpost. Here live the long, lean cavalrymen who fear no living soul. Here, too, are their women, wives, mothers, sweethearts. Brought to the screen with dramatic intensity by director John Ford, Fort Apache stars John Wayne, Henry Fonda, Shirley Temple, Pedro Armendariz, with Ward Bond, George O'Brien, Victor McLaughlin, Anna Lee, Irene Rich, Dick Foran, Guy Kibbe, Grant Withers, John Agar.
Colonel, if you send out the regiment, Cochise will think I've tricked him.
Exactly. We have tricked him into returning to American soil, and I intend to see that he stays here.
Colonel, Thursday, I gave my word to Cochise. No man is going to make a liar out of me, sir.
Tell them I find him without honor.
El coronel lo encuentra sin honor.
Tell them they're not talking to me, but to the United States government.
No le está hablando a él, sino al gobierno americano.
Tell them if they have not started by dawn, we will attack.
Y le da de
Tell them
en
that.
alba, si no atacará.
Oh, doctor!
Annabelle, do you mean you're going to deliberately set out to trap him? Well, I know it's dreadful, but this is the kind of thing men force us to do.
Why have you been chasing after me for the past 2 weeks?
You? Really, Dr. Brown, I've heard of conceited in my time, but you absolutely take the cake.
And you'll know just how many candles go on it. Now, on the other hand, take me. I'm a cinch. I've been married 3 times already. I like marriage. My wives didn't, but I do. I'm not safe any place. She knows all my habits. If we go out to lunch, I run into her.
Hello, Dr. Brown! What fancy bumping into you. Have some curried shrimp. Oh, my goodness.
Frank McLeod. I'm about 12 miles off Boot Key Harbor on my way in. Over.
Hold your course. You're headed straight for Key Largo. Key Largo. Largo, a lonely island off the coast of Florida. Sultry, heat-ridden, cloaked in the strange menace of the sea. But stranger still is the destiny that brings these people to this remote outpost, to be held at bay with a price on their lives, by a man with a price on his head.
Nothing to stop me from wiping you all out.
What good'll that do, boss? Forget it. Her kind's a dime a dozen.
I say smack her and let it go at that.
Smacking her isn't enough for such an insult. He'd have to kill her. Then he'd have to kill the rest of us because we witnessed it. But to kill us all or nothing.
We rid ourselves of your kind once and for all. You ain't coming back. Who's gonna stop me on there? Filth. You filth.
I won't let you go without me. You've got to take me. You've got to.
Now get
You've
away
got
from me. Well, kid. Smell blood, huh? Got your appetite up. You can make your hopes come true. But you gotta die for it. See where I'm aiming? Right at your belly. Go ahead, shoot. Get away, sister.
Get away, Nora.